welcome to, this is episode 21 of MovieStrange. Hello, Drew. How are you?
I can't believe it's 21.
Yeah, we're
really catching on.
Yep, things are catching on. Yeah, well, Devil's
good.
Honey, you just said, has 18,000 views.
It'll be much more than that by the time.
I don't know who's watching or why, but I don't care. It's great. Before we jump into...
Well, I can tell you, we've had a big spike in fans and subscriptions from India and Indonesia. So I want to say hello to all of our inexplicably international fans that awesome. We are excited to have.
Keep hit the subscribe button and hit the notification. Keep going. That's awesome.
And please comment. Please comment.
Yeah, that would be great if people commented. And I'll take fans from anywhere. This is great.
That's right.
Before we launch into the movie that we're going to discuss this week, I want to talk about our movie from last week called Audition. And I made a confession during that podcast that I was drifting in and out of. I was dropping lid throughout that whole show. I shouldn't have watched it as late as I did because I knew I was on the edge. And the thing with this film is half the film is a dream in a dream. And
right.
So now it's a dream in a dream in a dream. I'm not sure whether it's reality or whatever. So I went back and watched stuff that I had definitely missed when we talked about it. And it's not that I don't understand what happened, but I kind of want to get some clarification on a couple of the things. I talked about
before you ask, some of the clarification that you might want isn't necessarily clear in the movie.
No, true.
So,
no,
you made a dream in a dream in a dream in a movie that it's already not always clear what is a dream,
where we are, correct.
What's actually happening. How does this part seems to have really happened, but how does the main character know that because he wasn't there? It's very
but most of the scenes that I missed that. Particularly the audition scene. I missed that whole audition scene where they brought all those women in for the audition.
Really?
Yeah. Turns out I did.
My goodness.
I think I caught the beginning and the end of that. And it turns out that that's a pretty important scene. Except it doesn't...
the part...
Well,
but that's the part that's both. It's played like it's super charming, but it's also horrifically exploitative and cruel and misogynistic.
And it leads up to him spotting her in the corner at the table, and then her coming in as the last one. I get all that, but I have to. You mentioned that. I mentioned that. Okay, I talked about the scene where she disappears in the bed, and to me, that's what launched the whole kind of craziness. But you said no, that's not. It was the phone call.
It could be.
It could have been, but the phone call sets up
the craziness is where you first realize something weird is going on because she it seems to basically just be frozen waiting for the phone to ring.
Right, but that's
phone rings. She has a very sinister smile through her hair.
The bag
hanging
moves
down in classic Japanese horror fashion, and then the bag moves.
The bag
instead
rolls.
of it being a weird thing in a dirty old apartment, it's like I don't even know how you're supposed to read that. Does she have a hostage? Is it a monster? It's horrifying.
I guess the only part I missed was did she find out that he was not really doing a movie and that's what flipped her, or she's just crazy and she would have done it anyway with anybody who didn't give her 100% attention or whatever her idea that there can only be one love. And I don't know if that's answered.
I don't know if it's answered either. I think that what happened would have happened because that's what she does, because that's how damaged her concept of love is.
Yeah.
I mean, when she says you will love only me, and she really means not your son, not your dog. Oh, you love both of those things. They will be destroyed. You will be punished. That I think she was inclined to do that because of who her character is, whether she found out that it was a trick or not. But also, if she did find out that it was a trick, well, that's what men do. They betray you, and that's why they need to be punished. That's why her kitty, and her demeanor and how enthusiastic, like she's doing a craft project and she's taking his leg apart.
Right.
I mean, that's just that's what's going to happen. This is what happens with men, and so she's very matter of fact about it.
But I got the feeling that she murdered other people too.
That's definitely.
There's a whole line
that's
of people.
The thing. We see her decapitate the piano teacher who abused her. We don't really know what was the actual extent of the abuse, although I think that's what happened. We don't really know if she killed him because if she did kill him, why would the main character see that? And he had already gone to the abandoned dance studio and found some guy without feet in a wheelchair playing the piano. Well, that seems like a dream since it's a dump, and why would anybody be there at all? Right. And then he's been decapitated. Like, the whole thing is like I said in the last episode, it's very in some ways like a David Lynch sort of mysterious type of thing. I think that the interpretation of it is narrower, but it makes me ask specific questions like what is real, what is not real. It doesn't make me have a David Lynch experience, which I love, which is essentially boils down to what the hell is going on here.
Yeah. No, and I have to say I've thought about the film quite a bit since I watched it, so it's powerful. And yes, I was expecting what I got at the end. It was all the other stuff that I guess because I was drifting in and out, my fault. I lost a little bit of that. And for me, it was just about what happened at the end, but there was way more stuff that was involved. Okay. Having said that, let's get into some reality now. Reality.
Did you watch this whole movie from beginning to end?
I watched the whole thing. I was wide
asleep?
awake. I made sure of that. I owed you at least. Listen, I owed you and our audience that I would stay awake.
It's okay. If you watch it for 45 minutes and you're like, I don't know why I started this at 1 o'clock in the morning. I have to go to sleep. And then you go to sleep by turn off the movie and go to sleep and then finish it the next day. That's fine because you notice you didn't sleep while the movie was playing. And I think if you make that a goal, that's going to work out great for everybody.
I was wide awake.
I'm proud of you.
Glad I was because I thought the film was fascinating. Well, here's the 4 words. Summer Lonely Mommy Sex. Here is the film called Spanking the Monkey.
Yep. The directorial debut.
Director debut of David O. Russell. This is one of Drew's. Yep. They're all Drew's. I shouldn't say one of Drew's. This is one of them that he selected for me. As I've said many times in this film, I've heard about this film. I knew about the film. I never watched the film. And I've watched other David O. Russell films. Flirting with Disaster is one. Three Kings. Did he direct Three Kings? Yeah.
He did Three Kings. He did Silver Linings Playbook. Right. He did The Fighter. He did I Heart Huckabees.
So
he did Mother.
Yeah. He didn't do Mother.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mother was Darren Aronofsky.
Right. That's okay.
Different D with an R.
So I like David O. Russell's work, but I didn't watch this because of the subject matter. Because basically it's an incestual film. And it makes me uncomfortable for many reasons. Some I don't want to get excited watching a guy have sex with his mother, so I'm a little nervous.
That's a fair position.
First thing, let me just, before you start, they play this off like it's a comedy. Which
that's not quite the tone of the movie.
It's not the tone of the movie at all. And you go in thinking, well, you think it's going to be a light thing, and it's not light at all. No. It's actually quite the opposite. So go ahead, give us a little synopsis, and then we'll dive into some.
It actually feels more like, even though that movie is also about serious things, it feels more like the wacky tone of the second movie that David O. Russell did, which is Flirting with Disaster.
Yeah.
With Ben Stiller and Téa Leoni and Patricia Arquette, which is about a guy trying to track down his birth parents and constantly being introduced to the wrong people.
Yeah.
But this is a movie. Well, I love first films, and this is David O. Russell's writing and directing debut. And this is one of those movies. It was made, depending on which article or trivia you read, it was made for somewhere between $80,000 and $200,000, and it made several million at the box office. So it started his career, and by the time he gets to his third movie, he's making Warner Brothers movies and stuff, which is especially interesting that he went on to what's on the technically the artsy fartsy side of the business, but real commercial filmmaking, because this is a movie about a guy who gets stuck at home and has to take care of his mother, who's broken her leg all summer, instead of going to do an internship that he earned after his first successful year at college at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Yeah.
And he gets stuck at home. And the movie is essentially about not being able to get away from your family, not being able to get away from your life, your childhood, your hometown. And the movie specifically expresses that in ways that are very uncomfortable.
Right.
And it does it very well. And it is a very funny, weird movie. I mean, what I liked the most about the movie when I first saw it was the mood that it sets. It feels very real, sort of a humid summer the kind that I was, grew up with and we still get in this area. I don't remember if it says specifically where it takes place geographically, but it basically feels like East Coast summer type of thing.
Like I think upper New York. I would say New York, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. Something like that. It doesn't have a real specific ethnic or regional identity or anything. And also, it does a lot of things that really shouldn't work, and they work. And that's very satisfying because you're watching the movie and you're on this ride and you go, well, we're clearly going to go off the cliff here. And you don't. And that's really satisfying. Yeah. So, I mean, the story is basically a guy who ends up, spoilers, getting stuck at home while his father leaves him to take care of his mother who's broken her leg. And he's encountering various parts of his life that he's trying to grow out of. And he ends up having some uncomfortable sexual relationships, including with his mom.
Right.
And that's what happens in the movie.
Yeah.
So tell me what you were thinking about it.
Well, and all his sexual relationships in this film are uncomfortable, including the ones with himself.
For us and for him, yes.
For us and for him. And, one of the threads in the movie is he can't go in the bathroom and masturbate because the dog's staring at him. The dog that his father left. This is the other thing. This kid is saddled with two of the worst parents that I've seen in film in a long time. And it starts immediately with the father who plays a salesman, a tape salesman. I guess he does self-help tapes or something. And this guy's he's a caricature almost. And this poor kid comes back from college. All he wants to do is go on this internship, like you said, that he earned, I think, in D.C. at NIH or something.
Yeah, to start his adult life.
And he just can't start it. And his father's stepping in the way, and frankly, his mother's stepping in the way. And she's coming off as a jealous, sexually repressed. Definitely, her husband and her probably don't have sex at all. They keep showing the husband on the phone with him with various women walking throughout the hotel room. So he's cheating on his wife, of course. He's a total control freak. He writes down the mileage on the car, says he can go 10 extra miles if your mother has an emergency. So the kid is completely constrained. On top of that, he's got douchebag friends.
Yeah.
That one who keeps popping up at the most unlikely moments staring in his window. I don't even know what that's about. I mean, and it's played as a comedy, but it's heartbreaking for this kid.
It is heartbreaking.
To the point where he tries to kill himself. I mean, that scene they show in the trailer comes off as a joke, and I'm thinking this is it. I mean, and ultimately he tries again, doesn't succeed, and frankly, spoiler alert, the film ends with him getting hitchhiking on a truck and getting the hell out of there, getting away from everybody that's affecting him.
The film ends with him breaking free. And that's what the movie is about. The movie is about breaking free from so many things at once, including things that, like you said, these incredibly controlling parents in their different ways of controlling him, and also breaking away from his friends who he's returned to after his first year in college, and first they just seem childish to him, and then they're actually aggressive to him. This is Zach Orth is one of I think he's the guy that actually hits him, the sort of round-faced guy. Zach Orth, that's his first movie. He's a really funny comic actor. This is also Carla Gallo's first movie.
She plays his young girlfriend.
Right, she plays Tony, who's a girl that he's trying to maybe have a more age-appropriate and family-appropriate relationship with, and none of that goes well. I mean, the thing is, this character, he feels trapped and he wants to break free, which is not an uncommon thing for people to relate to. But he actually is trapped. He's trapped by his father abandoning him to his mother. He's trapped by his mother. So that's the other thing that gets broken as far as breaking free of things, is the taboo, which I feel is totally appropriate. Let's just say that, of not having sex with your family members. And it all comes down to this concept to which I could very much relate. We can do a whole other podcast on mental health and how it relates to movies for me if you want. But it's called individuation, and it's when you become your own person, which is a natural process that should happen healthily for anybody. It's it's a thing that happens to you that you do as a person, but it's also part of that is your parents then have an adult child with whom they are going to and healthily should have a different relationship with, because that child is no longer a child, even though it's still their child. And so you can see in this movie, there's not just, they don't treat him as an adult, like you said, the mileage and all that stuff, but they don't see him as an adult. They don't see him as worthy of respect. So he can just be pushed around. They can just do whatever they want for him. And that scene towards the end of the movie where his jealous mother catches him fooling around in his own bedroom with Tony, with Carla Gallo's character, that ends with her basically expressing her jealousy and telling them not to fuck in her house, and then she ends up striking her, right, which then almost turns into another sex scene with his mom. Like, right. The tension in the movie is wound very tight, but it's not wound like a thriller. It's wound like the suffering of this poor guy.
I mean, because ultimately the film is about that. Ultimately, it's not about that, but that it happens in the film, the incest with his mother, right? And they lead up to it with many different things where he's got to take shower. She's in the shower. He's got to keep his hand on so she doesn't fall because she's got the broken leg.
Right.
And then,
her leg's in a cast.
You got to wash my back. Oh, look, you have a birthmark on your back. Looks like a shopping cart, which comes down the road later. All these things are leading to the scene where the two of them get drunk and they end up having sex. Now, thankfully, it's well done, well shot.
It's a fade to black, and then the next morning, yes,
it's implied.
It's a tasteful.
It's uncomfortable though, as he's rubbing her legs, and and she finally pulls her skirt up enough to say, "Okay, I'm okay with this." It's very uncomfortable.
Well, it's very uncomfortable, but it's also like when you're watching it, I get why it's sexy. I get why
she's sexy. That woman's sexy.
She's
the woman.
Well, that's the thing. That's what first of all, this movie doesn't work at all if you don't have actors who can really commit to this role. I mean, the writing is great. The directing is sort of understated.
Yeah.
Like I said, the mood he creates with the cinematography and the editing almost feels gentle when you're dealing with some very harsh stuff. And so I really like that about this movie. But Jeremy Davies, and especially Alberta Watson, who is a wonderful actress. She died in 2015. She was only 60 of cancer. She's in a lot of movies, a lot of great movies that I particularly enjoy, like The Sweet Hereafter and The Lookout. And she was in the TV show La Femme Nikita, which was a big genre hit for people. And she and Jeremy Davies, what they do in the movie is perverse without being perverted.
Correct.
Which is a very fine line, because if you look
it has
up,
ramifications.
honestly,
they don't play it off easy.
Any porn today seems to be, mom and stepson type of stuff.
Yeah. But they don't.
Heard,
there are consequences to what. No.
Right. It doesn't play like that at all. Right.
No. There are consequences, psychological, physical. All of it, and that's why it's not a comedy. This is not a comedy. This is a very uncomfortable film. He's also wrestling with his sexuality, because the young girl is, basically saying it's okay if you're gay, I don't mind. And his friends have been, everybody's picking on this kid. His three, except for the one buddy who keeps popping up in the window, but he's the one person in the film that is sort of supporting this guy.
Right.
Everybody else is questioning his manhood.
He's struggling with all the things that are normal for someone to struggle with, but he's struggling with them all at once, and to the degree where I like him, I don't want to see him take his own life.
Do not.
But when he tries that twice, I get it.
Yeah.
He's that trapped, and he cannot figure out how to break free, and that's why the ending actually was a little more uplifting than I expected. Frankly, I kind of thought he was going to jump in the quarry.
Oh, I thought he was dead.
That would be the end of the movie.
I thought it was going to fade to black right then. Once they saw the shoe,
yeah.
I said, okay, that's when we cut to black. But again, it's about his parents just being horrible human beings. Mm-hmm. And his mother, as supportive as she acts, when he confronted the father and said, look, I'm having sex with my mother. Mm-hmm. And she didn't, like she was saying, she was still going to support the father. She denied anything happened. She didn't say that, but she was just implying that, no, this didn't happen. I need to talk to your father. Let me talk to your father. And that's when I knew this kid was done.
Right.
Because everybody that could support him is gone. And it's just, it's hard. It was heartbreaking until
he's an emotionally he's an emotionally abusive husband.
Oh,
And she passes that on to her son. He's abusive to his wife and to his son. And she passes that on to her son.
well,
and
I
that's
mean,
what happens.
the father was a caricature. The portrayal of the mother was way more subtle, but just as nasty. Some of the stuff, the manipulation she was doing to that kid, was heartbreaking.
Well, and the scorn was a really powerful part of it, because it's like you clearly, you're fine with having sexual intercourse with your son, potentially more than once, and it's very passionate, and it's very confusing for the audience and for your son. But the mother characters, this is what she wants to happen, but that doesn't stop her from diminishing him when possible. You mentioned that the birthmark. And then she says, well, it's not the first time you've seen it. You know, bath time was very popular. We had a toy boat that you got an erection every time. We used to call it the boner boat. That's not a fun story. That's you're a little boy.
Mother. Not from your
right.
mother.
You're a little, but it's deliberate. It's like you're a little boy story, and they're very cruel, like you said. It's ugly, and it's very sad. It's a great movie, and it's very entertaining in its way. But it did have a happier ending than I expected.
You say happier ending. Yes, he gets in a truck, gets picked up, and you realize he's free. That's the happy ending. Even that girl, his little girlfriend there, turns on him, accuses him of rape to her therapist father, who the mother ends up basically flirting with and hitting on, and you know, and even his friends are saying your mom's hot. So I knew there was some.
She is,
and she was, you know, that the whole town knew it, and she knew it, and she knows, you know, she knows how to. The way she was flirting with that doctor in the office. You know, when she comes out of that thing.
Yeah, she's very manipulative.
And it is so devastating for this kid. Yeah. And this is the same kid that ended up being in the which had the most affecting scene in Saving Private Ryan. With all those scenes that happen in that film, he's the kid that goes up those stairway when his friend's getting stabbed by the German soldier. And he's the one that can't get in there. That scene is it's just unrelenting. And he's supposed to be us. I get it. You know, he's supposed to be the innocent kid. And boy, does he play it well in this one as well. The strain on him.
He's a fine actor. He has been in many things and has continued to be in things. And even stuff like, I really didn't care about Lost, the TV show, after the first season or so.
I didn't see any of that.
But he was in it. I've seen some of the episodes that he was in. He's just good in everything. And there is a type of performance that's a Jeremy Davies performance. It's a Jeremy Davies character, and that's fine. I mean, Tom Cruise plays Tom Cruise characters most of the time.
Everybody has.
But when he inverts that, like in Edge of Tomorrow, it's actually quite interesting for doing that. But Jeremy Davies, you know, this feels like a heartbreakingly real kid.
Yeah.
And what's also powerful about it is it takes place in the present day in early 1990s. It could happen now. It could happen anytime.
Well, yeah, this story
is a timeless kind of family tragedy, frankly.
Yeah, it's a simple story with very simple characters, except the mother, to me, was the most manipulative out of all of them. Everybody came at it straight. The girl, his girlfriend was a bit of a problem too, because she toyed with him a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know what her reasoning for that was.
Because he frightened her. Yeah. Because he confused her. I don't think her describing the experience that they had together as something negative. She's not wrong, and she may not know how to interpret it. Like I don't fault her. And then again, that's Carla Gallo is such a fine actress who's been in so many good things and TV shows, and she was in Undeclared, and she was in Carnival, and she got her period on Jonah Hill's leg and Superbad. And just a lot of different stuff. And this is her first movie, and you totally buy her as this kid who's wrestling with her own world of feelings and all that kind of stuff. The only thing I look at it with that is she clearly has a healthier relationship with her parents than
her father basically said, we talk about sex all the time. You hit her in the eye, which was it was an accident.
It was an accident. She was trying to hit her son, and she missed.
Her son, and you know, she apologized for that. There's that scene, and she ends up flirting with the guy, and you know, God knows what's going on.
Because she's a manipulator. That's right.
Unbelievable. So I'm glad I saw this. Mm-hmm. It was still uncomfortable knowing what was going to happen, because that's just uncomfortable. Let's admit it.
That's fine to be.
And I know they're actors
made uncomfortable
acting.
By that.
They're not related. You know that, But that's
Right.
what movie making's about. I believe they were mother and son, and I believed what was happening. The poor aunt that came in to help out, that poor lady, she was probably the only innocent one in the movie. I think she was just trying to help, although she was a pain in the ass. But
Right.
just an interesting film. I don't know what else to add. I mean, it was David Russell's first film, and you can see you could see bigger things coming for him because it was a very assured film. I mean, that's quite a subject to tackle on your first film.
My favorite thing. Yeah, my favorite thing, and a sure debut.
to attack incest and have these actors do that kind of thing is, that's showing something. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a fearlessness. There's a fearlessness to really everybody in the movie, and clearly there was a level of deserved trust between everybody making the movie because this could have been just a gross disaster. They also could have tried to make it a comedy.
Yeah,
which could have really been much more of a mess. And it's a really it's a delicate, beautiful movie.
Yeah, I would not call this a
guy
comedy
trying really hard to break away from his family and not have sex with his mom.
Well, it started right from the beginning. It started right when his dad picked him up. You could see what was happening. This kid was not going to get anything he deserved. And I think probably his parents were both frustrated this kid was going to be a successful doctor. Because I guess she had a medical thing and she gave it up. And that
they were
the devastating line where she tells the kid that your father didn't want to have children. I mean, what kind of manipulation is that?
Yeah.
And she said that early on to him in the film just as an aside.
Mm-hmm.
Just as an aside. And
the casual nature of the abuse is very real. It's very realistic.
Yeah.
And you can see we don't get to see him in college. We don't get to see him basically becoming his own person. We get to see that immediately, like you said, as soon as his father sees him at the beginning of the movie, it immediately starts to get peeled away.
Right.
It immediately starts to get put back in his place. And it's very painful.
Yeah, it is painful. But a good film.
There is one thing I will add. This was the movie in which I discovered what is still to this day one of my favorite bands, Morphine, which has 5 songs in the movie from their album Cure for Pain. That was a band started by Mark Sandman. That's his actual name, Mark Sandman, the Morphine guy. He invented or made his own a kind of lo-fi rock and roll music where the band was basically him with a 2 or 3 string bass that he built himself, a baritone saxophonist, and a drummer. And that's the whole band. So that's why when you have scenes like the scene we just talked about where his mother accidentally slaps Carla Gallo and then he ends up on top of her and they almost have sex again, that's this intense, like, booming saxophone of this song called Sheila. And this is a Morphine movie. This is the movie that I and many other people discovered Morphine. They ended up being one of my favorite live shows. They're from Boston, so you should have some hometown pride.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even remember music in the film. I don't remember music in the film.
That's so interesting. Yeah. No, that's a big part of what I think makes the mood of the movie work, which is, as you know, that's one of my favorite things is when a movie strikes a mood. There are other movies that I will want you to select to bring to the show that are fantastic movies, but they're all about the mood that they set and how absorbing that mood is. And the music in this movie, for me, is a big part of that. And I will say the story of Morphine, the band, is very sad because Mark Sandman, I think it was 1999, he was doing a show, a Morphine show, live show in Florence, Italy, and he had a heart attack and dropped dead on stage.
Oh, wow.
And that was the end of the band and the beginning of the legend. And there have been several documentaries about the band and the guys that survived him. They've performed as a group called Vapors of Morphine that plays those songs. And he was just a really unique voice and songwriter. And I think that's another distinct element and ingredient in the very distinct parts of this movie, which is nice. It's definitely a David O. Russell movie. Yeah, you can see the emotional connections between this and some of the other stuff.
I am sure that the music affected my viewing of this film. I'm not a music guy, as you know, so I don't, I wouldn't recognize that, but definitely it serves the film, so obviously it must work. You mentioned Flirting with Disaster. That's another one with serious subject matter. about adoption. I think he's trying to find his real parents. Mary Tyler Moore, I think, plays his adoptive mother, and it's a great film that ends on this crazy, wacky Alan Alda drug thing, which is a riot. That's to me is a comedy. This one ain't a comedy. And that scene where he's trying to hang himself on the back of the door, obviously it brings up thoughts of Robin Williams too, and some of the stuff that guy was going through, is devastating. And then he can't even do it because his mother's cooking hamburgers, and she again, interrupts something that he was trying to do on his own. I mean, it's just crazy.
He doesn't have any space for himself.
None,
zero. He doesn't have any space for himself. I said earlier that I think that the movie ultimately lives and dies on the acting. Yep. And in doing my little research onto the behind the scenes story of the movie, I discovered that of her whole career, and Alberta Watson was in a variety, like several dozen movies and TV shows and stuff, that this was her favorite character. This was a role that I believe the filmmakers wanted Faye Dunaway for. She wasn't interested. I know that Susan Sarandon and Jessica Lange turned it down.
I mean, I can see why they would have picked those ladies, because they're all super cute but I think it wouldn't have been real to me. That would have felt like a movie trick, because I didn't know this woman. I didn't know the actress.
Yeah, right. She's not a movie star. She's not. Yeah,
she's
smoldering. I think that's a big part of it.
She's smoldering hot, just sitting there in her cast. I mean,
she's very sexy.
She was sexy as hell. Anyway,
see, that's the other thing, though. Talking about the kind of sexy in the movie, and there's another movie that this is very much like in that sense. Although that movie has different taboos that are transgressed. Do you know what movie I'm talking about?
No.
Her hands first.
The Graduate.
True.
The Graduate is about a completely inappropriate relationship between a younger man and an older woman. In that case, Dustin Hoffman's career explosion, and Anne Bancroft, an honest to goodness gorgeous movie star. So you might have gotten more of a vibe like that if you cast Susan Sarandon or somebody like in.
Well, again, but that is not.
But she did White Castle and stuff like that. So she's done those roles.
And it's specifically about The Graduate. She wasn't related. She's the mother.
No, right, exactly.
But again, that whole trope about Mrs. Ray, Mrs. Robinson, are you flirting with me? Are you seducing me? That's become not a meme, but that's become a thing. You Mrs. Robinson. A trope,
you could say.
A trope, you might say. You'd never say, I forget the last name of these characters.
Ibelli.
What's that?
It's an Ibelli, A-I-B-E.
No, the characters. Ibelli. That's actually the character name. You'd never hear, Mrs. Ibelli. It didn't become part of the culture.
You never say, oh, we used to call it the boner boat, and everybody knows what you're talking about.
Never said that. Did you have a review or something you were going to read about her? Something you were reading?
Oh yeah, I found a quote. A quote which is interesting.
From her?
From her, because she said it was her favorite role.
Right.
And I'm not going to do an impression, so I'm just going to read what she said.
I don't know how you would, but okay.
But she said, I took it because it was a heck of a challenge, and I'm not a name with an image to protect. The subject was incest. It didn't scare me at all. I seized the character and made her something. She was a deeply disturbed woman with a roller coaster of emotions. And then the last part of the quote is the most, unhelpful summary of the movie ever. Her son visits for the summer, and she's laid up in a cast with a broken leg, and things get out of hand. Which is in fact what happened.
It is in fact.
But yeah, no, that sort of seals for me that this movie is. Movies are always different decisions that people make, and they're maybe the most collaborative of all the art forms in our modern lives, and everybody was 100% in.
And I guess if you're
not
actors,
just taking the role, but being excited about it.
It's not. I guess it's not hard. Let's be honest. If you're an actor and you're not related to the person who you're acting with, you can definitely separate yourself. I'm actually having incest, especially for the movie. But there's movies like there's a murder mystery with Michael Douglas and Gwyneth Paltrow where they play husband and wife. And Michael Douglas, as a Hollywood kid, had grown up with Gwyneth Paltrow as he knew her as like an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, right? Is that
The Perfect Murder?
Yes, I think it's something like that.
Okay, with Viggo Mortensen, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, I don't know. I think as an actress, it's probably easy to separate yourself from it, but it doesn't matter. Like, she admits that the woman had psychological problems and she played it right. And the way she played it, like I said to you, she's a smoldering hot woman who's hiding, not the manipulation's right there, but because you're looking at someone, I don't know. It's a confusing film. And partly because she was such a strong center of that film.
Oh yeah.
And you could see why just what was going on. So
look, I mean, I would think as an actor, this is one of those. I mean, I get why it's her favorite. This is a once in a lifetime, sink your teeth into it role, and it's not for everyone. And she said specifically in that quote, "I didn't have an image to protect. I'm a working
Yeah, that's what
actress.
I mean by those other ladies.
This was really special opportunity.
Yeah, those other ladies would be kind of a stunt almost like when you mentioned Mommy Dearest, Faye Dunaway.
Right.
You know, stunt casting like that. And to see Susan Sarandon, I don't know, wouldn't feel like, not knowing this person, I think made it real.
Yeah.
And it just worked for me. So, and she happened to be smoking hot too. So,
yeah.
Which made it weird. Honestly, it made it weird because you're going, oh, I feel the same way he does. Oh my God, that's her son. What the hell's wrong with me? But
well, I mean, she's manipulating, controlling, and sexually abusing her son. You should feel uncomfortable with that. I'm comfortable taking that stand.
I was very uncomfortable. So, and it wasn't a comedy, for God's sakes. So
I think you've mentioned that, and
I have a few times. I'm sorry, I'm very repetitive, but yeah, whatever. All right, now it's time for 2 movies, 4 words, and here they are. Let's see if I can find them.
2 sets of 4 words.
2 sets of 4 words.
From
Family, Demon, Destiny, Cute, Doofus, Secret Love Story. Family. I'm going to go with the top one here. Family, Demon, Destiny, Cute.
That is a fine choice.
Okay. Tell me about the choice.
The movie is called, and it does have an exclamation point at the end, Bad Milo, starring Ken Marino as a guy who has a lot of stomach problems from stress. And
you told me about this.
When he finds out what's really going on in his butt, you got a movie.
Okay.
So I think that you will enjoy it. It's a comedy.
They said that the last time.
Yeah,
you said that with Spanking the Monkey. I don't know.
It's not nearly as taboo busting with incest. It's more butt stuff.
Yeah,
but it's very entertaining. And Ken Marino is a national treasure.
He's a funny guy.
There's a number of other excellent actors. Peter Stormare and other people are in the movie.
Okay.
So Bad Milo is our pick for next week, and I don't think I think you will have a strong and I hope positive reaction to it.
Probably. I like Ken Marino. What was I just saw him in? It's that the one I turned you on to, the 2-parter about the young girl with the kid. She's the babysitter. The babysitter.
Yeah.
I think he plays the father in that. He plays the father of the kid. He's very funny. Very funny in that.
He's great.
All right, so Bad Milo it is. You've been double vaxxed, so you're on your way to freedom eventually.
This is a Tuesday. A week from tomorrow will be my first day at my new job, and my first day of 2 weeks since my vaccination total protection type of excitement. So it's a good week this week. It'll be a good week next week.
Yeah, we're slowly getting out there. It's good.
Yep.
So.
Be careful, everybody.
Stay safe anyway, of course, and we'll see you next week for Bad Milo.
See you, Ralph.
All righty.